Hello there, this is Nitro once again. We have just been running the ACME NB16, and recently I had a few people asking me, in fact, about the settings on the ACME NB16 Toki 0.5 engine. So I thought this video would be good and dedicate this video to the actual settings, the default settings on the ACME NB16. So on this little buggy, here is our high-end screw, and for the default settings on this one, I would recommend to flush the needle to the edges. Now, when I was a beginner, I always never understood what flush to the edges actually meant. So, I'm going to do this really detailed so that people do understand what flush to the edges mean. Okay, now, screw here needs to be parallel to this outer tube. So therefore, if we look at it like that, you can see it is very smooth. When you run your finger over it, it is very smooth and there is no kind of dent. So if the screw was like this, when you run your finger over it, there is a kind of, a kind of dent in the middle. So, flushing to the edges means that you're getting the inner screw completely parallel, so completely smooth with the edges. So if you run your finger over it, it's all smooth going completely over. Because I never really understood in videos what flush to the edges mean, but I finally realised that it actually means that the screw in here is actually parallel to the outer side. Once the screw is flush with the edges, default setting on this RC vehicle from flush to edges is half a turn, 1 full turn, 1.5 turns, 2 turns in. 2 turns in from flushed with the edges should be good, and then you can tune it from there. If when you're running this buggy you notice that when you are going full speed and the engine kind of bogs down and stalls, or just bogs down, this means that this needle, the high speed needle, is in fact lean, so therefore you need to richen it out counterclockwise. However, if the full speed is kind of not very good and the engine can't take full speed and it's kind of sluggish and slow on acceleration, then this means the engine is too rich. You can also tell that your engine is too rich if you can see fuel actually spitting out of the exhaust here. And if that is the case, therefore you need to lean it out by closing it 1/8 of a turn clockwise, like that. So, once again, the default setting on this buggy is flush to the edges, about there, and then half a turn, 1 turn, 1.5 turns, 2 turns in, like that. So you can always reset the needles to the default settings if, say, we have messed them up. So you have messed them up, you tried adjusting it, then all we have to do to reset is flush with the edges and go 1, 2, 1.5 and 2 turns in, like that. So that is the default setting for the high speed needle. Okay, and then our low speed needle. The low speed needle is here, and then the default setting for this one is again flush it to the edges, and then leave it flushed at the edges.
Da 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 da.